You're watching Fairfield Public Access Television. It's time for an update on the project of the Fairfield Heritage Courtyard. I'm Susan Kessel, and Kent Whitney is with me.
Hello.
And the Fairfield Heritage Courtyard is a project of the Fairfield Area Development Foundation, which is a newly formed foundation of the Chamber of Commerce. This project started about a year ago. Longer than
Initially, it was well over 3 years ago. Mayor Rasmussen brought up that he would like to see some sort of sign in Fairfield, and so that kind of got the concept started, and then we just started working with him and took it from there.
And it was introduced to the public a little over a year ago with the concept of the courtyard being representing Fairfield's heritage in this courtyard, which will be located at the corner of Burlington and 2nd.
That's correct.
It's where the old former Chamber of Commerce used to be located, and it's right there. I'm not sure how big an area it is.
Oh, it's probably 75 feet by 75, something like that.
So it will start out with this huge sign, which the reason we're doing our update today is this piece of granite has just arrived.
Right. This will be the centerpiece of the courtyard. It's a Dakota Mahogany granite sign. It measures 12 feet long by 5 feet tall. It's a foot thick. It weighs over 10,500 pounds, so it's quite a substantial piece of stone.
I know when you first talked about ordering it, you said it would take them a while to find a piece like this.
That's correct. In the quarrying process, they have to cut out a dimensional piece, and it's hard, and granite being a natural product, you'll have a lot of cracks and seams in the quarries, and so they have to work around that. And so for a piece this large, it takes a couple of months to find it.
And before we ordered it, we wanted to have so many bricks sold so that we could pay for it. And I can't remember the number, but we have several hundred sold.
I'd say there's well over 400, probably close to 500 bricks at this point.
And the bricks, which we'll show you here, these will be laid on the ground, and it will be landscaped around this large sign.
That's correct. They'll all be in front of the sign, and then eventually as part of phase 1, and then phase 2 eventually will go on behind and over to the side of the sign. And the bricks are all 4x8 pavers. You can get 3 lines of lettering, 14 characters per line, which is quite a bit, really. You can say a lot. And really they can be for almost anything. Businesses, various institutions, families. I think there's a misconception that it's only for memorials, but it's really not. I mean, yes, for that, but it can be for really anything.
Right. I like the idea of having something for someone that is living, and so I did one for my parents to honor them and my mother-in-law, and my goodness, class reunions and children.
Yeah, there's just a wide variety. It's just whatever people can think of, use your creativity, and there's a lot of uses for them. So.
And these are being sold at the Chamber of Commerce right now, and they are $55. And I believe there's a corporate one also.
Yes, that's correct. We're doing an 8x8 one in the same granite, and we can do a business's logo or whatever. If they can just provide me with a business card or a letterhead, we can put the company name. There's one company that's going to have one, and then surrounding it with the 4x8 pavers will be all their employees' names. So just kind of a way of recognizing their employees.
That's a great idea. That would be a great idea for the end of the year or for holiday gifts, would be to purchase something like this instead of something maybe not needed.
That's right.
So the design of this, Kent came up with.
Okay. Again, when Mayor Rasmussen brought this up, I thought of trying to come up with something that would incorporate, well, a lot of things in the area here. And starting with just the shape itself, we've gone with kind of an oblong oval shape. And it was symbolic of a lot of the fieldstones or boulders that you see in the area. And from there, then we took it you'll notice, well, when we show it a little more later here, some of the areas it's been left polished and it's raised from the surface. And on those areas, we're going to have the lettering Fairfield in a 12-inch tall letter. Nice bold letter, it'll be very visible. And then down below is this landscape or cityscape showing different facets of the community. Of course, farming with the agriculture in the area. A tree symbolic of the parks that we have here. The water tower and a factory, symbolic of manufacturing, a dome, symbolic of M.U.M, church, of course, and then our courthouse, which is unique, and then finally commerce, or some buildings down on the square that are a unique style. So tried to show all the different facets of the community, and I felt like by being raised and in the more finished, polished look, that it's symbolic of how the community is raised out of the prairie and developed. And so anyway, and by being polished, the lettering and the design will show up really well. There's quite a contrast between it and the background, so it'll be very visible.
Oh, this is a really nice concept and idea, and I'm glad we're finally getting to do it, that the stone is finally here. And how long will it take to actually do this part?
Well, I would guess that we're going to spend a few days on it. What we've done here, we've started applying some of the stencil. We use a rubber stencil that protects the stone, where we're going to sandblast this first. And so we want to protect the polished surface and the background from getting sandblasted any further. And so first we'll apply the stencil, then we have to weed out an outline around it, and then we'll sandblast that first, and that gives us a nice sharp edge on all the letters and the design. After that, what we'll do is sandblast down all the rest of the background to blend in with or sandblast the polish down to blend in with the lower background. Followed up by tooling it with a pneumatic air hammer and a carbide tool called a 9-point, and that'll give this finish for the background, which is called a stippled finish. It's got a bit of a texture to it, again symbolic of the fieldstones, and then it also really whitens the granite where it stuns it, and so that it again will give you a real nice contrast with the polish, the lettering, and the design, so everything shows up well. So probably a few days on it.
Okay, and we're actually going to be taping this in segments so that we can follow the process. And I believe you said maybe next week they'll be out there digging?
Yeah, that's correct. We're going to put a foundation under it, and obviously to keep it nice and straight and level. It'll be 13 feet long, 2 feet wide, and we're going to go down 5 foot deep, a solid ready-mix concrete foundation, which is very important because this is something that we want to last forever. So we're going to put a good foundation under it, and then hopefully in the spring we're projecting to do the courtyard itself with the laying of the bricks.
So this will actually be in place within a few weeks, and then when spring comes along, the rest of the bricks and maybe some landscaping around there, and it should look really nice. So probably you'll want to get your brick really soon so it can be in this first phase. Mm-hmm. Let's take a break and we'll actually see some work. We'll let our cameraman move. Okay, Kent, we're getting ready to start here. I think I'll let you introduce your assistant.
Okay, we have our employee Matt Nelson. Matt's been with us for about 3 years and is learning the trade quite well, so he's going to help me apply the stencil here.
Okay, so we'll just watch you.
What we've got, of course, is the granite that's raised about a ½ inch here with the polished finish. Now, we're going to apply our rubber stencil on here. So what we want to do is line it up, and then this stencil has an adhesive backing to it. So what we're going to do is peel off the plastic on the back.
Now, you don't usually work this large. Is this a little trickier?
A little bit, but it's not a lot different than what we do. It's just, you just have to climb on it.
What is the largest other piece you've ever done?
Oh, we've done monuments that are probably 6 foot long anyway, so this is probably twice the size of what, we've done. So yeah, it presents a challenge. Obviously, we're outdoors here. It wouldn't fit into any of our sandblast rooms, so what we're having to do is actually do all the work outdoors, so it's nice to have the sun shining here today.
Yeah, nice to have that cooperate. Yeah, I didn't think of that, but you usually would be maybe inside rather than outside.
That's right. Okay. So, what we do is we just smooth this down, try to get out all the air bubbles, and we have to just be careful we stay in line with the panel.
It looks like it would take 4 hands here, so you wouldn't get all stuck up.
Sometimes when you're by yourself, like on a smaller piece, it's not that hard, but because these are so long, it is very helpful to have an extra set of hands.
Now, do you have something cut in there already?
Yes, what we've done, we cut this out on our computer, on our CAD, and this outline that you see around some of the other lettering or on the designs is what we're going to do now, is pull that stencil out, and that's called weeding. And the reason we do that, we're going to start sandblasting this little thin line around it. That'll give us a nice straight, sharp edge on all the letters in the design. So at this point, now that we've got our stencil applied, we'll go ahead and start weeding that stencil out. There you go.
I was going to say, I guess when I get down here, I can see where it is.
Yeah, you have to kind of look careful, but once you get onto it, you can see right where everything's at.
And this is the only part that will be sandblasted?
Okay, no, actually, again, we'll blast this line first, and we'll go down, probably a good 3/8 of an inch down, or 1/4 of an inch. Then what we'll do, we'll peel out the rest of the background.
Okay.
And then we'll sandblast it down close to this stippled level here.
Okay.
Then we'll do the tooling and blend it all in together so that it all matches up. And so this is just one of the many steps. There's just a lot of different steps in the process that you have to do.
Now, did you learn under your father?
Yeah, it was just, being a family business, you learn by just hanging around, just like my little boy. He's here today, and he's always helping Matt out, so it's kind of on-the-job training, so to speak. So there you can see we've got Fairfield spelled out in the nice large block letters, and then of course the design down below. And so we're going to be ready to sandblast, and before we do that, we're going to have to patch and cover up some of the areas that we don't want to be blasted yet, and so we'll do that now.
Okay, so we will come back in a little while. Well, Richard, my cameraman, and I have taken about a half an hour break, and while we were gone, Kent, what did you do?
Okay, we're getting ready for the sandblast process here. So we've patched some areas that we don't want to get blasted yet. And then following that, we've made sure that all of our stencil is hammered down. We do that with just a rubber mallet like this, and we go over all the surface where we want to be sure that that stencil doesn't flip up on us and undercut.
Or else you have a problem.
Yeah, we don't like those kind of problems. So then, like I say, we're ready to start the sandblasting. And when you're sandblasting, obviously you have to wear a lot of protective equipment, and safety is always very important. We always have, of course, a respirator that we wear, and then we've got the hood, the sandblast hood, so that you can still see what you're doing, but you're protected from the blast, because the sandblasting we're going to be, we do with this sandblasting pot here at about 100 pounds per square inch of pressure. With that, sand's going to be coming out, so it ricochets off this rubber stencil, and hits onto you, and so you have to wear a jacket, gloves, and all the equipment. Of course, the dust from the sand is harmful, so we always
Is this
wanna wear
something that people have always done, or is this just now and nowadays people are more careful?
Definitely in the last 15, 20 years, there's been a lot more care given to the safety factor, because working with stone and with the various abrasives, there is a lot of dust, harmful dust that you can breathe, and of course ear protection and eyes and just everything. So yeah, I think we're a lot more safety conscious today. So what we're going to use is this, as I said, it's a little sandblasting pot, pressure pot, and then we have the little ceramic nozzle here, and the first step will be to come in real close down to the stencil, and we're going to sandblast this little groove, this little line around the design, and we want to take that down about a good 1/4 of an inch anyway, to get a nice straight line started, so we have a nice sharp edge to our design and our lettering. And then following that, we will be peeling off the rest of this background and sandblasting that part of it down so that we can then blend it with the other. I guess we're ready to get started.
Okay, and we'll move over to the other side.
It'll just take...
Okay, so underneath all that equipment is your assistant,
Matt Nelson.
Matt Nelson.
Yeah, and there's what he'll do. It's kind of adjusting a little bit. You got to get just the right flow of sand and air. And he's starting the actual sandblasting now, where we're cutting into that groove. Where the rubber stencil is, it's protecting the granite, and the sandblast is just ricocheting off. But where we've peeled out the stencil and exposed the granite, then the sandblast cuts into the stone. And so that's what he's doing now.
And luckily we have the wind blowing away from us, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, it's always nice to have all the dust blowing away.
Now inside, do you have some kind of vacuum system?
Yes, we do. We have a dust collector. So periodically this will clog up, and so there's a certain amount of adjustment. With the air, you pick up a lot of moisture from your compressor, and it clogs up. And so once we get rolling, then it's usually fine. But yeah, we have a dust collector that suctions all the dust off and collects it into bags, and so we try to keep it real safe and clean in there.
Now it looked like it's a fairly quick process.
It is, but
I should say that, right?
Yeah, you get under that hood. No, it's going to take some time. Your different granites will have different densities or hardness to them, and this particular granite is probably a medium range as far as density, but again, just the sheer size of it there's going to be quite a bit of time involved in the blasting process, so it's going to take a while.
And do we know how we're going to get this piece uptown again?
We have an idea.
That's good. The train doesn't go by there.
Not anymore. Yeah, we'll use the same. Actually, I have some great neighbors here with Shouse-Voorhies contracting, and they have an all-terrain forklift, and that's what we were able to unload it off the flatbed semi with. And then we'll load it onto a truck, and we'll take it back up to the site. And then Gus and Roger have been good enough to offer their services to use their forklift again, which will unload it and stand it up and then put it in place onto the foundation.
And that's another part of the Heritage Courtyard is being done with a lot of donated in-kind contributions by you, I know I've done some work, some sign work and publicity, and then Shouse-Voorhies, and I know the nurseries are going to get involved.
Sure, yeah, and other organizations like the Trees Forever. There'll be a lot of organizations that can get involved on the project, and that's the way it should be, a community project.
Right, and of course some items do cost some money, and so that's what the money is being raised for, is the actual cost of purchasing bricks and the stone and things like that. But there is a lot of donating going on here to make this project successful.
The other neat thing about the project is that it is an ongoing fundraising project. In other words, after the initial costs are taken care of, bricks will be able to be purchased for a long time to come, and that money will go into the foundation for whatever other community projects that need financing.
And that really is why this project was being done, is so that it will raise money for that foundation to do other things. And I know they are talking right now about some of the possibilities that they might do for our community that maybe other organizations don't take care of, but this one will be.
That's correct. We're just tossing around a lot of different ideas at this point, possibly a heritage museum of Fairfield, of just of all the various Fairfield history. So there'd be a lot of neat things that could be done with it.
Things like the welcoming signs coming into Fairfield are real nice to have, and I know we still need them on the south and the north.
Yeah, that's correct.
Entrances of Fairfield, that would be something that could be done.
Just anything to beautify or enhance the town and when people are passing through.
To make it a nicer community. So we're watching as Matt Nelson is sandblasting the stone, the real stone for the Fairfield Heritage Courtyard. And is there anything else we should talk about today?
I think that's pretty much it today. We'll spend today and good chance tomorrow on the sandblasting part. And then the next step will be the tooling of the background.
And we will come back on another day and watch you do that and see how it progresses, and then we'll see the finished product. So that will be all for today on this project, but we'll come back. Well, we're back after about a day of you working on this, right. And well, we've been gone. And I can see a lot of progress.
We've made a lot of progress today. Primarily, we've been sandblasting, sinking all the background down, and we've still got quite a ways to go yet. We've gone through about 2,000 pounds of sand, so I mean it's taking a lot of material. It's just the size of it, time and materials, it's taken quite a bit. So we still got a ways to go.
Now, I think I was really naive. I didn't realize that you were blasting sand through the equipment to eat away at the stone. I thought the sand was coming from the stone as you were air blasting it away or something. So when I see all of this, and there is a lot of sand here.
There really is. This is all a silica sand, and the granite itself creates a lot of dust too, but a lot of this, what you see, all this white, is the silica sand. We're blasting it out of our sandblasting pot out of a nozzle at about 125 pounds pressure, so it's really hammering the stone hard. And again, just to rephrase from yesterday, where the rubber stencil is on there, it's protecting the polished surface. And we're sandblasting then where the granite is exposed, and that cuts it down or sinks it down. Now, after we're done with the sandblasting, we take it down to a certain level, but we're not quite flush with the background yet. And then we need to take an air hammer and a chisel, or these tools here, these 9 points and 4 points, they're a carbide tip tool. And we're going to go over that surface to take it on down and then blend it with the background, and then it gives all that same textured finish. So that'll be our next step.
And we'll watch that in a few minutes. Now, is the sand reusable?
You can. We're not reclaiming this, but you can reuse the sand a couple of times before it breaks down.
Do you have a few beaches around here?
Well, I think we're going to have one here for a while. So
I imagine your son would like to play in this.
Yes, I'm sure he will.
Nice, clean sand. I should mention again that we're talking about the Fairfield Heritage Courtyard and the stone that's being prepared for the center attraction of that will be also laid with bricks, which will be sold and are being sold right now at the chamber. And you can pick up one of these brochures. We have them all around town, and if you open it up, it gives you suggestions for what you can do with your brick. You can have a family name in memory of loved one, to honor someone, maybe an anniversary, a 50th anniversary, a birth announcement. I know that we have one baby that's going to be recognized on here. Businesses, your church, your club, school, maybe you have a favorite teacher or a teacher award, organizations, classmates, class reunions, organizations of officers. I know the Fairfield Art Association is recognized on here. Employment achievement, award winners, sports teams. Maybe there's a winning sports team. We have great sports events in Fairfield. Maybe there's one that could be recognized. And celebrity visitors. So there's all kinds of opportunities to have a brick, and you just fill out this, you fill in the lines. Like we said before, there are 3 lines with letters that you put in, and take it to the Chamber Conference, and they are $55. And the first part will be laid, the bricks will be laid next spring for the first part, and the stone will be installed in a couple weeks.
Yes.
So, it's going maybe a little slower than you thought.
Well, a little bit, but I think a lot of it is just the size of it. You know, we're, again, like we talked yesterday, we've never done something quite this large, but it's going well, really, but it just takes time to go over the surface and to grind it down and to tool it down. So it'll be next week before we're finished. We'll spend a good 4 or 5 days on it, I would guess.
Okay, well, we'll take a break so our camera can reset, and we'll have you show us how you actually do this.
Okay.
Okay, Kent, what is Matt doing? What tool?
Okay, what he's doing now, he's using a pneumatic air hammer with a carbide tip tool in it that's called a 4-point. He's just going over the surface that's been sandblasted, and we're starting to take it down another level. It also smooths it, takes all the humps and bumps from the sandblasting part out, and then eventually we'll get it down with another tool called a 9-point, a little finer tip, and we'll go down to the same level as what the background is and blend that all together.
With the same texture.
Yes, so it's all the same texture. It's
Okay.
what's called a stippled finish.
So the texture that you see, if the camera's looking to our left of the A, is what was caused by the sandblasting.
That's correct. It's still quite rough, and it's raised about 1/8 of an inch or so above the surface. And then what we're doing now is just taking that 1/8 inch off with this tool.
And we were talking before that you have to be a little careful and pay attention to what you're doing so you don't go too deep.
Well, you don't want to go too deep, and you also don't want to catch one of those letters where it's the polished raised letter, because they will chip right off, and then, you know, once the granite's gone, there's not much you can do to get it back, so we have to be very careful.
It looks like it takes some strength too with your hands, that's a real tiring kind of job.
It can be. You want to let the tool do the work, but all of this, really, you get in awkward positions, and by the end of the day, you know you've done something.
I can imagine I would feel that in my arms and hands, wrists.
Yeah, that's correct.
Now, the point fell out. Does that come in and out easily?
Yeah, you can just, pull it out, and it allows you to control it a little better, too. You can turn it and go along an edge. Right now, we're just kind of doing a rough part of it where we're just taking the bulk of the background down. Once we use the 9-point, it's a little finer tip, and we won't go with quite as much pressure, so I won't be hammering so hard, and we can control it, and you can actually hold the little tool and turn it with your fingers, and then that gives you a lot of control to go along your straight edges.
Okay, well, it's coming along good, and it'll be nice to see it out there on the corner of Burlington and 2nd Street, right on Highway 34 as it goes through town, for the community and people visiting to see this. And this will be our Fairfield Heritage Courtyard. And this is a project by the Fairfield Area Development Foundation under the Chamber Conference. So I guess I'd like to thank you, Kent, for your part in this project and help getting it going. And we need more bricks sold now, and that's the community's part. And And we'll look forward to seeing that happen. Just go to the Chamber of Commerce, purchase a brick, and it will be laid in this courtyard. I guess that's all I have to say for now.
Okay, well, thank you for covering this.
Thank you.